Schizophrenia is a often disabling and chronic mental illness that affects how people think, feel, or behave.
The current treatments for schizophrenia, while some of them are very effective and helpful for some, it also falls short to address the whole spectrum of symptoms.
Schizophrenia has been essentially treated with a single class of medications for nearly 70 years. What Cobenfy is a novel way to treat a very old illness.
Hi, my name is Lindsay Bilsland and I'm Head of Mental Health Translation at Wellcome. Back in 2015, Karuna Therapeutics came to us with an idea to trial a new combination drug. And this drug was KarXT, now better known as Cobenfy.
Andrew Miller, currently an advisor to Bristol Myers Squibb and the founder and president of research and development at Karuna Therapeutics. So the development and discovery of Cobenfy actually goes all the way back to the 1990s. Xanomeline, one of the components of Cobenfy, was originally developed by Eli Lilly for Alzheimer's disease. And along the way, they accidentally or serendipitously discovered that it had antipsychotic benefits as well. Unfortunately, it had some side effects that prevented its future development, and the innovation of Cobenfy was combining that with another medicine, which actually acts to counteract those side effects. The Wellcome Trust was a really important and critical early partner in the development of Cobenfy, providing some initial funding to do what was our first human clinical study with Cobenfy.
Some of the side effects associated with the use of xanomeline were nausea, vomiting, excessive sweating, excessive salivation, so fairly unpleasant. So Karuna's plan was to combine xanomeline with this other drug, trospium chloride, which is used for the treatment of overactive bladder. And what it did is it blocked the same receptors that xanomeline activated, but it didn't cross the blood-brain barrier, so it only blocked those receptors in the body. And their theory was that this would actually reduce the side effects. So we provided funding back in 2015 for them to test this in healthy volunteers. They looked at whether KarXT as a combination would have a better side effect profile than xanomeline alone, and it did. So we then decided again in 2018 to give them additional funding, but this time to take this combination drug into patients, so into people living with schizophrenia. And again, this was a US trial, 160 participants at multiple sites, and they showed that KarXT over a 5-week period actually reduced the psychotic symptoms. So that's hallucinations and delusions. But they also showed that it might also help with some of the cognitive problems that you get in schizophrenia. So problems with memory and attention. And also a third benefit was that it might help to reduce what we call negative symptoms. So these can be lack of motivation, social withdrawal, for example. So we funded both these trials through convertible loans. We provided about $11.7 million US in funding. And then back in 2019, Karuna listed on the NASDAQ, and at this point we converted our loans to equity. Karuna then went on to be very successful in fundraising, securing funding for phase 3 trials.
My name is Dr. Kenneth Kramer, and I am the Vice President and lead for Medical Affairs for Neuropsychiatry at Bristol Myers Squibb. Cobenfy was recently approved by the Food and Drug Administration in the United States for the treatment of schizophrenia in adults. Bristol Myers Squibb is part of this because they acquired Karuna Therapeutics in March of 2024 to help us bring this novel and revolutionary medication to market. Because of its mechanism of action, Cobenfy has the potential to be effective and safe in other psychiatric and neurological diseases. Currently, Bristol Myers Squibb is evaluating Cobenfy as an adjunctive treatment for schizophrenia in adults, meaning it would be used with another medication to treat the signs and symptoms of schizophrenia. And we are also looking at a clinical development program that will examine its efficacy and safety in psychosis associated with Alzheimer's disease. One of the things that I am proudest of working for Bristol Myers Squibb is that Cobenfy really is an example of innovation in medications development for psychiatric illnesses. And it is our hope that this is just a first step of many to helping the lives of people who are living with severe mental illness.
Schizophrenia is a heterogeneous disorder, and patients respond to different medicines differently for reasons that we can't always predict or understand. And the idea of having a new treatment based on a fundamentally different underlying pharmacology or a new class of treatment, I think gives Cobenfy the potential to be a really important treatment option for patients.
Hi, my name is Margaret Odhiambo. I am a lived experience advisor based here in Nairobi, Kenya. So I think it's very important for us to push the boundaries of science just to provide an opportunity to develop more targeted and personalized options for those who actually haven't benefited from the existing range of treatments. I think my hope is that Cobenfy will improve the long-term functional outcomes by transforming the day-to-day experiences of people with schizophrenia, so giving them a sense of control and also allowing for social integration. And ultimately, I think also in terms of reducing the stigma that is associated with schizophrenia because of better understanding, opening up the conversation of schizophrenia. And also I believe that providing more effective and personalized treatment options, Cobenfy is able to empower people living with schizophrenia to live fuller and more independent lives.
So what excites me most about the approval of Cobenfy is that it is the first new mechanism of action drug to treat schizophrenia since the 1950s. I mean, that is a long time, so this is a huge breakthrough. It could have a huge impact on millions of people's lives. That's millions of people across the world living with schizophrenia. And I guess I am proud of the role that Wellcome has in funding this. So we provided funding at a really early stage of development. We de-risked the science at a point where no other investors were willing to take that risk, and the risk paid off.